Hi guys. Okay, let's just get going into the material because I find that, when things start, this is a perfect example of how manifestation works. When you start in a feeling of being nervous or frustrated about something, then more of this unrolls, right? I'm trying to log on to my YouTube live. I woke up late today. Somebody told me schedule your live. I scheduled my live. It didn't work out. Then I come here in the car. It's I can't log on. I try again. Now I had to let a guy speak. I clicked accept. So this is just a perfect. Please learn from this because this is what I learned. I learned like when something like this snowballs, and in my case it attracts more technical difficulties. You just gotta acknowledge that this is what's happening and be like, I'm now disconnected from this stream. I'm now disconnected from this stream of frustration, from this stream of technological challenges, and I am switching my mind to talk about something else. I was saying how we wrote in our subconscious mind the idea of God's wealth over the weekend with my group. And I am so excited to start this car manifestation for the summer. We're going to have a step by step. We're going to have a couple of steps this week, but we just had a lot going on over the last few weeks, so I didn't want to overwhelm. Um, in the case of the car, because it's such a specific 3D thing and it's man-made, it's not like a natural occurrence or circumstance of events, we're gonna have some reciting together of things. So please stick with the group when I say, can everybody comment on this or can everybody set the same mind? That's the key to this. So I want to get straight into the questions, and then I want to talk about how to let go of the how and how to set the goals and how to revise your goals and think about these things, right? So I am completely switched into a different mode. There are a couple of questions that came this week. If you guys don't know me, I take questions if I feel they're to the benefit of the group. If you want to email me those questions throughout the week, I'm always live on Monday at 12 p.m. And then my lives are also posted in on my Facebook, sorry, on my YouTube channel. So let's see what questions came in. The first one is, Mona, question for you for Monday's live. What are your thoughts on needing to always state with harm to none? I have always assumed, because I manifest through the lens of God, that God's will for us is based on goodness and prosperity. Do you think it's necessary to state it every time? Or is operating under the assumption that God would always choose the most perfect and appropriate path an okay principle to operate by? Let me know if that makes sense. I don't usually state it, but now I'm wondering, maybe some of the challenging things that happen in my life have been because I didn't necessarily state harm to none or bring me this in the most perfect way. Thank you. Okay, so there's a few things going on here, and the first thing is, when you grew up with a religious background, what kind of happens is there's a lot of guilt in the mind about how you're operating the law, how of you even taking control of your life. Because a lot of people who are operating from a religious background have this thing that whatever happens is the will of God and you have to accept it. So until you switch this mindset to, okay, there is a God. If you want to think that there is a God, I think that, I think there's a creator, but the creator is, he has my best, his plan for me is to prosper me and give me a good life. This is actually a quote from the Bible. And if you have this idea of a punishing God, of things that may happen in your life, bad things that may happen in your life because you didn't say with harm to none, because you're not, what, how did she put it? Because she didn't say bring me this in the most perfect time. So there's a guilt that's associated there with her wanting things right now, maybe wanting certain things, maybe, so watch yourself for this underlying thought pattern that there is something that decides whether you should have something or not. Now, the way I describe the nature of reality is threefold. There's God at the top, the creator of this game. Then there is this formless substance that surrounds us. It's kind of not layered, but it's throughout. And the formless substance has a mindless intelligence, has an incredible intelligence, an intelligence you can't match, right? And this formless substance under it or through it or in it, it's us and maybe other entities too, who knows, right? We're not thinking about them, we're not talking about them. But in this formless substance, it's like saying, here, your character's in this game, and here's all the tools that you can work with. Here's how you can get coins, money, food, and just like a character in a video game is understanding. So the creator of the game retains control of the game, can always reprogram the game, can always decide that one of the characters in the game is getting more coins, can always decide. But also the character himself, just by using the intelligence of this game, can obtain these things himself, right? Does not need to wait on the creator to get these things. So there's two ways to access life and to do life, right? One, when you're doing it this way with manifestation, with one is with prayer to the creator, with establishing a constant connection with the creator and asking the creator, hey, reprogram my life. I don't like the script that you have given me or that's been given to me. I know you care about me, and I know I need you to make it easier for me, to make it so through prayer and petition and constant, but this requires constant connection with the creator. Whatever that means to you, right? For some people who believe that their sacrifice is required to connect to the creator, such as fasting, such as thieving, such as doing whatever religious practices, praying 5 times a day, right? If that's ingrained in your mind, that's the way you can connect to the creator. And don't think that you can just erase all of that right now, all of these programs, and then now starts journaling 356, because you're going to be in this situation. Negative things may happen, and you might be like, maybe it's because I didn't tell the creator that I want this to the highest benefit of all. Maybe like I'm getting punished somehow. So that's the first way. The second way is understanding that there is this intelligence, which they call the universe, right? I call it the formless substance from, W. Wallace in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. That's where I got it from. And I like this. It's the formless substance, is the prime material that everything is formed from. But that is not the same as God. That is the environment of this game that's been created for us, right? And so the creator sort of said, deal with it yourselves in this game, interact with the game in any way you see fit. That is free will, right? That is the true definition of free will, that you can always decide this is not the script for you. You can move to a different script. So, when you approach life that way, you just approach it with thinking of the creator as, thank you for giving me the ability to create my environment. Thank you for designing this game. And I give gratitude because I understand this is how you acknowledge me. But now I'm gonna use all of these other laws that I haven't been taught, that I'm discovering now, to shape the formless substance to my own benefit. Now, because in your free will, you're not allowed to affect the free will of others. Many times when you operate your free will, because I don't believe in this concept that, everyone is you pushed out and you can make them do whatever you want them to do and all of that. That's a different topic. Sometimes you can, but it's not through proper means. So because of this ability that you have, right? You might sometimes think that if I insist in this, or if you insist in this, if it's not meant to be, I will be punished. And this is how you interpret the negative events in your life. But I'm here to tell you that you're always going to lose if you think of it this way. Because no matter what happens in your life, good or bad, you're always going to have guilt of maybe you violated somebody's free will, maybe you've taken from somebody, maybe, the way you obtained it was not okay. So now you're going to interpret the negative events as, the creator's punishing you for doing this. So I think if you're doing it the second way, by shaping the formless substance, the reason you have to say with harm to none, you're not really saying like with harm to none. What you're saying is, I'm not violating anyone's free will to do this. Now, when you want your man, and let's say that man is the ideal man for you, and you're staying in the projection of the ideal man, but there is a man you're thinking about it, like it was in my case, right? But I was okay with if it were another man, if it was a better man, if it was, as long as it fit here. If he breaks up with then whatever woman he's dating at the time to be with you, You cannot obtain this guilt inside of you that maybe now, because I've accessed the formless substance, this is what happened, and he broke up with her, and I didn't say with harm to none, but if I said with harm to none, maybe she wouldn't break up with him. No, you can't think of this. When instead of with harm to none, maybe the way you should think of it, you should think of it without violating anyone's free will, without violating anyone's choices. This is what I want. And if this happens, it means I haven't violated, because not my intention to violate anyone's free choices. And that's how I manifested my SP. No violation on anyone's free choice. Okay? If he broke up with somebody else to be with me, it's because that's what he wanted to do. It's not because I've envisioned him breaking up, or, and that eliminates this whole guilt when something bad happens. I'm not connecting it with, but I've done this other manifestation where this happens and where that's why I'm being punished right now. The worst thing you can do is connect the bad things that happen to you, or the challenges that you have in your life, with you wanting something, with you wanting a goal, or with you having achieved a goal. Because immediately your system, okay, your energetic system that surrounds us will stop wanting to manifest, will be like, okay, so what I'm understanding is that there's a connection between the bad things that happen to me and the fact that I'm trying to manifest, or the fact that I've obtained something. And once this idea comes in your mind, more guilt will happen the next time you'll try. More guilt. So I want you guys to please decide how you're going to create your life. There's really the two ways I described. There's a third way. The third way is to just let randomness happen. Just be on the script of your life. Assume you have a destiny. Assume everything that happens is just random. It's in 3D. It's the material world. You don't really have control over anything, and just go on with your day. Okay, this is also maybe the least involving of your energy system, but will you get what you want? Most likely 90% no. The second way of doing it is do it with the creator. Prayer and supplication, again, that requires a constant connection with the creator, and that requires that when bad things happen, you just have to assume that you must go through that for some reason. The third way is understanding you're in a game that's created by a creator, obviously, because the game is too perfect, and being like, okay, so I've been given access to all the resources of this game. I just need to learn how to play it. I just need to learn how to play it, and that's it. I don't want to violate any other free player's will. I just want to get what I want in a way that the game will figure out how I get it without violating anybody's free will. That is a long answer, but I think it's sort of comprehensive. So for this queen who asked the question, instead of with harm to none or what have you, just think without violating anyone's free will. And at the same time, put in your mind, queen, put in your mind that what did you say, in a perfect timing, in a perfect way, exactly, like it's based on the game's intelligence. Never connect something that's a challenge in your life with other stuff that you're manifesting. One has nothing to do with the other. Whatever's challenging is you haven't learned the rules of the game to correct this part yet. You're still in the learning process. I still don't know how to, make sure that this doesn't happen. Remember, there's two things in this life we do not control. We do not control the day we're born. We do not control the day we die. I know some people now have asking me, how can I make sure when I die a peaceful death, and all of that. It's not up to us. Okay, don't think about that. Don't think, it takes more energy for the system to keep you alive than to unalive you, okay? Because to unalive you, it only takes a second. If the system is keeping you alive, you have a meaning and a purpose, and you're meaningful. You're meaningful. Do not think about how you're gonna go. We're all gonna go. We don't know when. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because you can't control it. So you can't worry about things you can't control. All right. So that's the answer for her, and it plays well into how to let go of the how, which I'm going to talk about in a second, about things you can't control. All right, so that's the answer for her, and it plays well into how to let go of the how, which I'm going to talk about in a second. I tell you, I received my first amount of unexpected money. I had one bank account that was completely empty, and out of the blue, I received a notification of a streaming service payment that was charged to that card. I immediately entered to check because I didn't have any money in there. I saw there was $165 in there. I clicked to see what the source of it was, if someone sent that, but there's no record of anything. I'm in awe. I know I created this, so I try to keep my reaction very calm because I know this is my new normal. Anyways, I wanted to ask you if I should do something different when this happened. Should I reach to the bank to confirm this was the source? Asking because this is completely new to me. I'm permanently in awe and grateful for you and this group's energy. Guys, if you're doing the 60-day challenge, please expect all sorts of unexpected things to happen to you, stuff like this. This thing is perfectly normal. It's happened to me many times. It's happened to a queen in our group that she got paid, like she was manifesting, I don't know, $2,000, and she got paid from her job twice. Another queen last year, if you're listening to the old lives, what happened to her is she stayed on her deposits for the last month of rent, and then the landlord returned to her the deposit, which was also $2,000 in a check. So this kind of stuff always happens. Sometimes the money is there, you don't even know. Like one time I had a line of credit and I had a payment go through that didn't come from my bank account. That obviously nobody knows about my personal business, so nobody would have paid it. So you know, it's funny, but it was credited. It was somehow credited without being taken it out of my account. The worst thing you can do is think about the how. That's the worst thing you can do. When something like that unexpected happens to you, do not think about digging into it. When you dig into it, you have a high chance of undoing it, because reality, the game, the formless substance, the intelligence that's running this game does not want you to understand how it operates. Let me say that again. The more you try to understand how events could be pieced together for something, even after the fact, the less likely you are to be able to do it again, or to not, you're not doing it, to be able to allow it to happen again. Understood? Do not try to look into it. This is why now we're seeing this in science. Every time that scientists are trying to understand something at the quantum level, they're presented with conflicting information. They're trying to analyze, the double slit experiment. If you didn't look at it, please look at it, because this is how you understand how manifestation works. And the light splits into both, like a particle and a wave, and it's really important that you understand. There's like 5-minute video demonstrations of that on YouTube. It's an important concept. Every time they try to measure something, they can't. They really can't, because reality is kind of like slippery, is escaping them. It doesn't want them to know. It doesn't want us to know. And so what scientists have concluded is that the observer is actually creating what's happening, right? So if science is telling you that the observer has an effect on how things unfold, the more you try to observe what has happened, the more you'll collapse a 3D probability. The more likely is the bank, when you call the bank is like, oh, I made a mistake. Do you know what I'm saying? The more likely it is that you'll collapse, because the observer effect, which is now, again, what quantum scientists are saying. So just observe the final reality. The moment you try to observe the steps, you're back in 3D. Now, the final one I have, and then I'm going to take some of your questions, and then I'm going to talk about the material. Let's see. Okay, now this is sort of a success story on weight that was put by somebody in our group. Mona says that we owe her some success stories, so here I have one. I've lost 4 pounds in just a few weeks, and that's not even the best part. After following Inspired Action, joining Weight Watchers and the gym, I felt I needed a change and was looking for fun classes, which I found. I noticed that I was scripting during my first 60-day challenge. I noticed that what I was scripted was finally materializing in my physical body. But the most significant change is my detachment from food. I feel so relieved, so hopeful, confident, and stress-free about being able to maintain my body as I've always wanted. Thank you for all your help, mona.khad. Yeah, so what happens when you do the challenge, guys, and when you be with our energy, when you are with our energy, with the group, what happens is, remember, there's a structure around our body that's called the etheric body, right? And then there's a structure on top of that, that's the astral body, and so on. We talked about it at length in some of my lives and YouTube videos. But the etheric body starts to reshape. And as a consequence of the etheric body starting to reshape based on it being given new information, There will be changes in your physical bodies and prompts in your mind, okay? In your mind, remember, mind, body, and spirit, in your mind, that will simply prevent you from doing things the same way you've always been doing them. Because this is what this whole work is about. You need to be prompted, but not by immense discipline and 3D hard work. You need to be prompted on what to do to effectuate changes in your behavior and in your body that match the etheric body. That is what happens. And this is what she's saying. After I went through the 60-day challenge, now this queen's been doing a lot of work, like a lot of work on herself, a lot of work on the group. And I'm not, depends where you are when you start. Like if you're in a dark place about your body, about your relationship, about your business, about everything, obviously you're going to need to effectuate more changes than if you're a really happy, joyful person, life's going well, but if only you could meet a partner, that would be great. That's totally different starting points. So do not judge anyone's success based on the time frame, because the time frame only has to do with how long it takes you to effectuate inner changes. Be patient with yourself. As long as you see changes, as long as you see, hey, I'm doing this differently. Hey, I'm feeling differently when I wake up. I'm way more hopeful. You're making progress. You can't force accelerate your progress. You really can't. It has to do with keep doing the work, keep listening to the information, have some things that click in your mind when you listen to a live, when you listen to a video. If one phrase clicked in your mind, have a journal next to you where you write that down. Oh, something clicked for me right now. Leave a comment on whoever's video that you're watching. This part clicked for me, because every time you write something out, your brain is like, oh yeah, it's like a reinforcement. So this work is all about reinforcement. This is how you've done life so far. You've done life so far based on just reinforcing patterns that you've seen in your childhood, or reinforcing whatever you tried hard to learn yourself. Maybe you observed something horrible in childhood and you've tried to undo that, right? So by constantly undoing it and undoing it, that's how you manage to effectuate that change. It's all a program, and it's all a repetition. But keep in mind the higher perspective, that this world, there's a formula. You're in this game, just like playing a video game. You have access to all the resources, right? But it's up to you to go and find and learn how all the rules work. So I didn't take anyone's question. I want to see if anybody, maybe you can just repeat your question, because I don't want to scroll back too far back before I get into what I want to talk about. Is the saying, if you're meant to be together, you will be. If not, then not. Is it wrong? It's not wrong to think of life that way, right? If you actually believe that and can detach from it. So, if I think, if I'm meant to be with this guy, I will be. If not, I won't be. But I'm absolutely okay with not being. Then I see nothing wrong with this. But where the problem starts is, hey, I actually want to be with this person. I actually want a person exactly like him. And I'm not going to accept, I might accept that it's not him, that it's, somebody else, but that somebody else better have all the qualities that I love in him, or better, right? So it's hard to accept, oh, but I'm not meant to be with a person like that. So I don't believe in this part, that I can't create a circumstance or event where I would be with somebody like this. Yes, I don't want to violate this person's free will, but as long as I'm in love with somebody, here's what I always say when you're thinking, I'm meant to be with him, drop all of that. I want to be in love with a person who's in love with me, who makes me feel like A, B, C, D, E. This is how we live our life together. A, B, C, D, E. This is how we wake up together. This is what happens in our lives. And no, I'm not. I have the right to this. To this, I have the right. I don't know if I have the right to John, because John has his own path, but I have the right to this. And I'd really love it if it was with John, if it's meant to be with John. That's sort of how I would change that. What is my zodiac sign? I'm a Leo. I'm not really into astrology, guys. I'm not really into this. Any thoughts on Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks? Some things I like, some stuff turns me off. I prefer Dispenza. Yeah, I'm very familiar with pretty much everybody who's famous in this space. They're very different, Dr. Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks. Look, there's in this soup of formless substance, There is a mindless intelligence. And now when I say mindless, I don't mean it's stupid. I mean their mind is not like our mind. So Esther Hicks channels this intelligence. That's what she claims to channel, and a lot of her teachings kind of make sense with but there are some things that turn me off as well. I generally do not like channeled intelligence. I don't like intelligence that it's because number one, the way we perceive reality, we don't perceive the bigger reality, right? The bigger picture. We just perceive a manifestation of our reality that is further filtered through our system, through our biases, through our religious interpretation, to our, like if somebody sees an orb or an angelic shape, and if they were raised with God, they would think it's an angel. If they weren't raised with God, they would think something else, right? So anything that happened is put through the filter. It's not pure truth. It's not pure, so whatever Esther is channeling, it's impossible for it not to have a part of Esther in it. It's impossible for it to be just, just a pure truth. So your system, your energetic system, if you're very aware of it, if you're very in tuned with, this is what I want, these are my goals, I'm worthy, I deserve this, and I'm moving in that direction. I am aware of everything that happens in my day to day that maybe is trying to take my focus away. And every time that happens, I bring my focus back and I'm right back here. If you live your life that way, then what's going to happen is you are going to move in that direction no matter what. And, Dr. Joe Dispenza is all of that line of thought. By the way, I wait to go to his seminar this year again. I've been in October 2022. I loved it. So I'm doing a follow-up advanced retreat. I can't wait to see him again. That man is just something else. But I want you guys to understand that Dr. Joe Dispenza also doesn't do it on science. Like he has the science background and he's under this veil of science because that's how he can maintain his reputation as a doctor. And he has all these experts that come and do these measurements of the brain and do give it a scientific meaning. His work is not done on science. And the stuff that he's able to manifest have nothing to do with science. It has to do with him being able to relax into, he calls it the nothingness, but it's not the nothingness. It's just exiting the manifestation of this world and going into this higher space, higher realm, and releasing himself to this higher realm while somehow managing to project his intention. And I told you that he told a story on stage where he was out camping somewhere alone and he was thinking how a nice loaf of French bread would go really well with his wine, but he didn't bring any bread. And all of a sudden, a loaf of French bread falls on his head in the middle of the wilderness. So he picked it up. He said, I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. I took it and I went to my trailer and started to eat it with my wine. He was all alone. Now, think who Joe Dispenza is, okay? This is not a man who needs this sensationalism and the stories to be somebody. He already has a room full of 2,000 people. So for him to get on stage and tell this story, I am 100% sure it happened. And I'm 100% sure that pure creation, material creation from energetic form is possible. And I'm 100% sure he manifested this bread. And there's no way he's making up the story. He would have no reason to. It's ridiculous, right? So the kind of stuff that is possible, we don't even, we haven't scratched the surface. We're thinking like, oh, I want to manifest this guy and then a job. And, these are like little things. So yeah, to me, Esther and Abraham, it's kind of like a level one, kind of understand that there's a world out there, there's an intelligence, but now, understanding how do you work with it? That's more like, how do you, Joe Dispenza is better at that. So I hope that answers the question. I have no association with Dr. Joe, just FYI, but, so I'm giving you my honest opinion and interpretation of the work. How do you feel about letting emotions flow, anger, sadness that affect your manifestation? They do. They do. You have to remember that emotions are just responses to your thoughts. Emotions don't get generated by themselves. Even when you wake up with an emotion, it's in response to a dream. is in response to an image, is in response. So what you observe becomes very important. So mental diet is extremely important for you to have a mental diet. I can't watch images of war. I can't read stories about horrible things that happen during dating. I can't because when I observe this, I feel like it's poisoning my soul. Like I'm such an empath that I can't. So your emotions, you can regulate them based on what you allow yourself to focus on, your thoughts. But it's not easy. So I'm not saying, guys, it's easy. All you got to do is think about somebody else, something else. It's not like that. It's really difficult. But I'm telling you, this is how you regulate your emotions. And also, I think you have to remember that emotions come and go, right? They're generated by thoughts and they come and go. And so whatever you're going through, you know you're going through this now, but you know you will be better again. Emotions will 100% affect how the future unfolds. And just tell yourself, it's just like crying over a guy and saying, decided in 3D, hey, I don't want to ruin my eyes. I don't want to have bloodshot eyes and under eye bags and all this stuff. It's just a decision, right? I choose not to do this anymore. It's the same thing with an emotion. I'm going to give this 5 more minutes. Then I need to move on from this. If I can't move on from this, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go in nature. I'm going to do anything, anything to disconnect myself. I'm going to watch a comedy. I'm going to call whoever I'm going to call. That's the idea. Do you believe the evil eye is real or just a limiting belief, fear in the mindset? I believe that consciousness in this game, we're not all at the same level, and some consciousnesses have bigger access to the game just because they learned how to do it. Again, I'm talking the game, the mindless, the universe, what they call the universe. And in that, they can entrap other consciousnesses and affect them in some ways, depending, but it's all temporary. So I think ultimately your own consciousness has the power as long as you remain in awareness. Right? This is why they even say in every religion, but let's say in Christian religion, when you feel something evil, you think of Jesus, right? You think, really, when you think of Jesus, is you bringing your awareness, hey, this is not, I'm saying no to this thing. I'm saying no. In Islam is like, you have the jinn and you see the jinn and you're like, no, but the power of Allah is much greater. And it's just bringing your awareness. No, you don't have the right to violate my consciousness. But yeah, I think, in general, I just don't want you guys to stay in that mindset that there are consciousnesses that have more power over the game. That's all there is. Uh, I don't like that she has written even children has attracted atrocities to them. I can't accept. Yeah, exactly. I'm of the same. That's why I did a video on this whole concept of karma and contemplating this whole concept of karma. I am not with it at all. I cannot accept that, I cannot look at a child that gets killed and, molested and me being like, oh, but, that's her soul that chose that. And so I guess it's okay. There's no way this look at a child that gets killed and, molested and me being like, oh, but, that's her soul that chose that. And so I guess it's okay. There's no way this collective consciousness impacting you, but not that I brought certain terrible things. Yeah, collective consciousness impacts all of us. It impacts all of us, unfortunately. That's the price you pay. Even if you're good, that's the price you pay for living in a sinful world. That's all there is to it. Okay? That if you're part of a group and the majority is defective, there's no way that won't affect you in some way. Now, you can minimize the impact that has, but you cannot completely delete it. Just don't stay in that mindset, guys, though. I don't This is why I don't really talk about that, because I don't want you to stay in that mindset. Can you talk more about manifesting wealth more before meditation? Yeah, so let me just get into goal setting right now. um let's see. How do you know if he's the one you're going to marry? Who are you talking about? Love your content. I had no idea who I was going to marry. I was just like, this is how I want to feel. I described to you guys. I went over. If you guys don't know, go through my SP list, and I described to you guys like exactly how I thought about things. It's really about staying on how you feel in a marriage. I have no idea who the man is going to be ultimately, but as long as I feel that way, it means I've achieved my goal. Let's see. I accidentally told my friend about manifestation I'm working on. Guys, do not tell anybody about what you're working on. Do not tell, unless it's somebody like, let's say you want me to look over your goals or what have you, because we're working together, because I have no emotional investment in your goals, right? But anybody in your life has emotional investment in your goals. Anybody. Because if you get that amazing job or that amazing spouse or money, everybody in your life will be affected by their schedule with you, by their this, by their that, okay? So if you must share it with a stranger, not with but a stranger who is evolved, like evolved, say like their consciousness is not going to be like, why should she get that? I'm not okay with her getting that. Okay, so I want to talk about the how. I usually make a little notes for you guys. Maybe it's like from what comes out of my lives, my questions, what comes out of where I am and reading. And I always think that what happens to me, the books I run into, it's all inspired. It's all inspired. I have this. I was told last Joe Dispenza seminar, I must share everything that I'm being told by the universe or the information I run into. So this is sort of what I'm doing. So I want to talk about the how. A lot of people have really a huge difficulty letting go of the how. Letting go of the how versus giving up. Like, what is that? What is the difference? So I was thinking of being in the pool. My intention is to swim or is to be on the water or it's the water to carry me. So when you go in the pool, you can try to, let's say I'm not a swimmer, right? I try to swim and I can't. But if I learn how to float backwards and allow myself, that is sort of like letting go of the struggle of the swimming, of trying to get to the other side and allowing the water to carry me. So I actually learned how to float way before I learned how to swim. Giving up is trying to swim, not being able to, coming out of the pool and walking away, right? Now, to be able to float, okay, from one side to the other without swimming, it's not easy. It's not like you have to have an immense amount of trust, but anybody can float if they just have this trust. And if you learn how to relax your muscles, and in this case with manifestation, relax your mind, relax your control over reality, and let reality take over. Now, the water in the pool, it has no interest in me getting anywhere or doing anything. It will just take me there, but if I struggle, it will make me sink to the bottom. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's not like the water wants to take me there. It's the water has no choice but to take me where I want to go if I just allow myself. And that's sort of the difference between letting go of the how and walking away from your manifestation. Now, when you say, here's my goal, what will I have to do to achieve my goal? What do you think the answer is? What will I have to do? Because in your mind, the moment you write down, I need to start my own business. I want to get married in the next 18 months and I'm single. What do you think is the first thing you should do when you write this goal? Because your brain, the first thing it will be like, how? So you immediately need to think of the how as the how that I need to figure out is how can I engage the invisible forces to make this happen for me? You got to reinforce in your brain you're not the one doing it. How are you going to get married? How are you going to tell everybody that you're single? Are you going to put yourself on dating apps? Are you going to how are you going to make this happen? How are you going to get this job? That's what your brain is doing in the background. And so what you want to do is, how am I going to engage the game, the formless substance? I need to learn how am I going to, this is all you're going to think about. How I can be more connected, how I can be more focused, how I can be more aware of what emotions right now may be detrimental to me. This is the how that I'm staying. How, okay? How can I engage the game? How? Tell me how. Sometimes I have something in mind, like trivial. I use it on trivial things. How can I get there in 10 minutes when I know the traffic is 30 minutes? How? So I'm asking the how of the formless substance. You can ask it out loud, you can ask it in your head. You can constantly, every time you try to figure something out, just release it back to that. How can I engage the universe? How can I engage the formless substance? How can I better access the game? The game can get me there in a second. How can I access this game? Not how can I get there in a second. How can I access the game such that the game carries me? It's just a different perspective you might try. You have to try way different perspective because our brains are all different, right? All the games are very, very different. Sorry, all our consciousnesses have been programmed very, very differently. And tips for one may be very different for tips for other. This is why for some people, some techniques work, but it's all about convincing your mind of a certain way that reality unfolds. Okay? Now, I want you to think of another thing. What is one scenario that you can envision that hasn't happened yet, that implies something that didn't happen yet, that is not connected to another goal? What do I mean by this? A lot of people say they think in their mind, let's take an example with money. I need to make 100 sales to make, or I need to make 10 sales to make $1,000 this, and it needs to happen this week, or it needs to happen this month. I need to make 10 sales to. So when you're connecting two goals like this, it's like, first of all, which one is your goal? Is it the 10 sales or is it the $1,000? Now, if it's $1,000, the 10 sales is just telling the universe the how, and the universe is stepping back, saying, forget it. You know, you need to make 10 sales, so you don't need me to make $1,000. And the math works out. It's $100 a product, so you got this, right? And so you don't make the sale because the universe is not involved. The formless substance is not involved. So do not connect these two goals with each other. Work to unpack which one is your actual goal. Like, what is your actual goal? Is it the sales? And there's people for whom the sales matter. They matter. And you'll find them in every sales organization, real estate or other type sales. They want to be on the board. They're competing with whoever the top agent is in that office or the top salesperson. And they thrive. They imagine themselves with that trophy of top salesperson of the year, top salesperson of the decade, or whatever it is. It's important for them. That is their dominant thought. And those are the guys that, they would tell you, oh, if you just work hard, or if you just, you're going to do the sales. Believe me, those guys, when they started, they had this ambition. They either had the ambition of being the best, or they were told by their parents to be the best. They had the ambition to compete. They were trained to compete. They wanted to be the top. They enjoyed, maybe they got some prizes in school, and they always enjoyed being at the top. Those guys did not start by saying, I need to make 100 grand a year, or I need to make X amount. They were just focused. Their dominant thought is topping the top guy. And so invariably they do, and invariably money follows that. Now, if your goal is money, and if your goal is $1,000, is $10,000, you have to completely let go of how it's going to come. Maybe it's going to come from your 10 sales. Maybe it's not going to come from your 10 sales. The moment you tie them together, it's the universe taking a step back. Just like the moment you say, I want to get married and it has to be with John. The universe is stepping back. And when you're doing this obsessive work, he's me pushed out, I'm going to whisper in his ear, I'm going to write his name 10 times and put it under my pillow. What happens is sometimes he comes back obsessed because you manage to connect from consciousness to consciousness, and you're sort of entrapping his consciousness for a while. It's not going to last. All spells unravel. And this is why, the majority of people manifested SP, they always say, oh, he comes back and then he leaves, and he comes back and then he leaves. And, because anyways, it's more complicated than that. But that's the idea. If you want to get married, you want to get married, and you have to completely focus on how it feels being married. What image can you conjure in your mind right now? An image of something that hasn't happened yet that implies you're in a good relationship. However, a lot of people have trouble envisioning this because they never been in a good relationship. Or, the moment they think of a memory on, they automatically think of John or Mark or whoever they've been with, right? And then that puts that skews the image's emotional charge, because you automatically associate whatever else you lived with John or Mark in those moments. So how is it that we can have an image of something? It's not a memory, but it's just an image that kind of implies our goal without implying the how. How is it, right? So you have to think about this depending on what your goals are. if you want a significant difference in your life, if your life is you're poor, you're broke, you live in a you can barely pay the rent, you're single, you don't have the job you want, your job sucks, and you want to be, what everybody wants to be, in a happy relationship, in a good relationship, rich, in your Mercedes, driving a Mercedes, looking completely different than you do right now, because you have money to take care of yourself. Okay, the distance between this and this may be long, and why the reason it's long is because you have to replace the majority of your thoughts. Remember, what makes us is the structure of our mind, and what shapes events and circumstances. This is why you must believe this if you're doing life this way with manifestation and reality creation. What shapes us and our circumstances are the contents of our mind. It's the contents of our mind expressed. So the more your life is different from where you want to be, the more of a difference. If you're trying to effectuate changes in every area, the more thoughts you have to replace in your mind. So understand this. The way you think about things has to change. In fact, nobody should be able to anticipate what you're going to do next. That means you haven't changed your thoughts. You know how you have a spouse or you have a child, and like when you tell them something or when something happens, you already know what they're going to do? Why is that? Why is that? You already know what they're going to say? The reason for that is because you know the way they think. There's a pattern to their thinking. They're trapped in this prison of thought, right? So like if you can anticipate what they're going to do next, the game can definitely anticipate it 10 times better and keep them on the same script. And it happens to you. If all your moves can be anticipated, if that guy doesn't text you and your reaction is always like, when they don't text me, I tell them off, and do the opposite. Do something different. Do something out of character. Start to prompt your thoughts based on your actions. Even if you can't think different, maybe you still feel rejected, maybe you still feel, do something else than you normally would do. And that would prompt a different response, maybe from the other person, from the circumstance. And what's going to happen in your mind is you're going to be like, oh, maybe I've been thinking about this the wrong way. But one way to prompt your thoughts to change is to just change your actions. Just decide, I'm not going to take this street to go to work. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to call everybody in a different order. I'm going to just do something differently. You know what I mean? And then what else I wanted to talk about? Then constantly contemplate the ramifications of all your goals. So what do I mean by this? Let's say your goals are so if you're doing my 6-day challenge, it's separated into 4 areas or 5 areas of life. But let's say your goal is being thin, your goal is having a relationship, your goal is having a great job. Well, what are the ramifications of you being thin? Let's start contemplating. This is how you generate more thoughts. Being thin, I need to buy new clothes. Okay, I need to look through my closet now and see what is it that I'm not gonna need, in a month. What is it I'm not gonna need in 2 months? Because it's definitely gonna be too big. What is it that I need when I'm thin? How am I gonna respond to compliments? How am I gonna respond? I need to envision someone telling me, wow, you lost all this weight. How did you do it? What are you gonna respond? Start contemplating. How are you going to respond to people, I don't know, cat calling you, when you're walking on the street? How are you going to respond to that? There's things that when you change your look and you improve your look, the reaction from 3D will change. And you gotta contemplate those responses and the ramifications of you being how are you gonna walk differently? How are you gonna work out differently? How are you gonna be able to take, five flights of stairs without maybe being out of breath? When you're in a relationship, what are the ramifications that would happen? Let's see. You're gonna have less time for your best friend. What else? You're gonna, cook together, or you're gonna need to cook more because you're gonna cook for him too. Or what is it that's completely gonna change in the small things in your life? Okay. Oh my God, the example of the clothes is so real. I got clothes last week in the size that usually would, yeah, it's you got to get clothes in the size that you're going to be, but you don't need to buy them. You don't need to buy them ahead of time. You just need to contemplate all this stuff in your mind. And so what with the job, contemplate the paycheck, contemplate different spending patterns for your ideal job, contemplate different wake up and going to bed schedule, contemplate maybe you need to dress differently for your new work than you currently do. Say if you're remote and you're going for, if you're gonna aiming to be a VP, you're not gonna be remote VP. It doesn't work this way. You're gonna have to deal with teams. So you gotta constantly contemplate all these ramifications of this is how you just generate new thoughts. And right now, I'm going to give you a very, very valuable tip. After you do all this, pay attention. After you do all this, and now you're thin, now you're in a relationship, now you have your ideal job. So all of these things have been achieved. You got to take it one step further, and you got to think bigger, and you got to contemplate this person who is now thin in a relationship, and what are their goals and what is the ramifications of their goals. So you got to go 2 steps up in the game. This is very important. And I find myself guilty of not doing this, right? You guys know I put the image of this ring, like it's just crazy in the 60-day challenge that I was doing, and I got the exact same ring. I didn't know, my fiance or anything like that. And he's not familiar with this work. He's in banking. So, like for me, I realized certain specific things, like I materialized certain specific things that I put in there that are mind blowing. But now I've achieved them, right? So now, for example, what is my goal in terms of my relationship and because you can't be without goals. If you're without goals, you're going to devolve. A system is never staying the same, ever. A system either evolves or devolves, right? So if I was single and I envisioned my ideal life and I created my perfect relationship down to the exact ring and all of this, what is this person's goals for her relationship now? And I'm realizing myself that, I'm just, man, I gotta really think about how to grow what I have. Like how to grow this. It's easier when it's with money. Oh yeah, how do I grow? Okay, with money, you always want to have more and go to the next step and the next step. But when it comes to, your work situation, if you're in your dream job, how can you make it better? What's the next goal? If you're in a great relationship, what is the next step? So if you don't have any of these things, guys, please don't call me. If you don't have any of these things, you got to think 2 steps in the game. You got to think the person who has these things, the me who has these things, what does she want? This is profound, right? What does she, not what will she want? What does she want? Because you're already there. Like you're telling the universe you're already there. But what does she want? Right? So you gotta really think bigger. We talked about never linking goals or they won't come. Like I'll hit $1 million in sales and then I'll go to Spain. I'll move to Spain. Don't link these goals together. Never link goals together. Never tell the universe the how. And the final thing I want to talk about is you must every day. This is what they mean by gratitude. But when they say gratitude is you must be able to find something that you're happy about every day. That's what gratitude is, right? Like you can't really fake it. You have to be like, you got to bring your awareness to something that you have right now that you're happy about. I went a few minutes over because I logged in late and we had that whole mishap. What are you happy about today? I'm so happy to be able to share this, to have this audience. I'm so happy it's warm outside. I'm so happy I'm in this car. I'm so happy I'm safe in this moment to be able to do this live. I love the coffee that I'm drinking. I love what I'm anticipating I'm gonna do next. Just I'm gonna go for a walk as soon as this life is done. I'm so happy I woke up and I felt healthy enough to do this. So constantly, what am I happy for today? That's what it means. What am I grateful for? You don't think that God is sitting there thinking like, oh, thank you, Lord, for ABC. I mean, if your mind works that way, I guess you could do it that way. But to me, gratitude only means acknowledging the things that I'm happy about today. That's where you have to stay. Let me see if there is anything else that I missed might be important. There's a John on our lives who wants to get married. So, John, you're in the right group. This is a group of wonderful women. But we do have some wonderful men in it too who are focused on growing better every day. Please keep talking about patience when manifesting. Do I have to keep pushing things to happen? You never push anything to happen because you're not the one who's making it happen. Stay focused on what you're happy about. Do these things. Listen to this last part of the life again about how to set your goals, how to think of ramifications of your goals. Just means those are generating new thoughts around the same subject. That's what it is. And then keep your awareness on how the current moment may be affecting your vibration system, vibratory system, right? So if it's skewing you in a feeling that's opposite to what you're trying to achieve, don't let it. Don't let it. Yeah, I'll post this on YouTube. I don't know. I scheduled a live on YouTube. I'm sure I'll do better next week because my lives are usually on YouTube. I was dreaming I was wedding dress shopping. I'm taking it as my subconscious understood the instruction. Wonderful. Keep at it. Keep thinking beyond the wedding. Keep thinking way beyond the wedding. Think, like waking up in this person's arms and how that feeling of feeling protected and provided for. Keep whoever's manifesting marriage, go way in the future. Go to your kid's graduation. Go way in the future, holding your husband's hand and seeing your kid walk across the stage. There's nothing wrong with go here and there. Go, like, keep in mind, like, this is already accomplished and what are the implications. So what's this? Put this here. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys go. I do the tapping 369 at the end of all my lives. I'm gonna be live again next Monday, maybe another day during this week, I don't know, but I'm always live Monday at 12. If you don't find me on YouTube, find me here on TikTok. The systems are kind of giving me trouble. Put your hands together for the 369 if you want to tap it with me. If not, this is the end of the live. One breath together. I am a winner. 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 I am a winner.